All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sooner Surge. It's our second edition of the Sooner Surge Smoke Room. And before we get started today with some smoke we're hearing, just wanted to say thank you to our listeners and our subscribers. Obviously, this is not a paid site. We just do this for fun, and we have high school kids that started this with Brody, Jackson, and Hunter. They're going to OU for journalism next year, some of them the year after. And so this is all for them as far as their career growth. And so we just are very thankful for you listeners. Please share the word. You know, we are doing our best to get that information out there to you as quick as possible. You know, for instance, last week with the Emmett Jones stuff and LaDainian Washington going to Western Kentucky. I mean, you heard it here first last Saturday and Sunday. So just please share the Sooner Surge. We really appreciate you. Leave us a rating, leave us a review, and once again, thanks for listening. So, let's get started today. So, obviously, today we've heard some stuff with Bradley, the receiver from Texas Tech. Now that Emmett Jones is officially an OU wide receiver coach, just let's kind of talk about what we're hearing about the Jaron Bradley situation.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at what we saw with Broden, he basically said that, and we saw some stuff where he OU kind of pulled out or whatever. He said he was supposed to commit today, did not. You can take that however you want to take it. But I do think that there is certainly a spot for Bradley on this OU roster. Now, Tech just hired a receiver coach. We'll see how he feels about that. But there is a clip on Twitter of him when Emmett Jones was actually at Kansas, and Bradley said that he would have went to Kansas to play for Emmett Jones. So I think that definitely bodes well for the Sooners. And again, Bradley is not in the portal, so we'll see kind of how that goes. But there is definitely some smoke there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go back to what Thune said on the ref today. He said that if he's talked to sources kind of there around the Texas Tech program, he said there's a pretty good shot Bradley does end up entering the portal. But obviously, whenever he said that, Tech hadn't had a wide receiver coach yet. I don't think. But now they have a wide receiver coach, so we'll have to see what he thinks of the new wide receiver coach. But whenever it's all said and done, I expect Bradley to be a Sooner.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that with the whole Broden situation today, he said yesterday he's going to commit, and then it was starting to get about the time of the day you would think he would commit. Nothing. Then you finally got the tweet that said his commitment's now open again. He's not making a decision yet. And for OU, you would think that they're going to want to take in a couple more receivers. So with Broden not being that guy now, is if we pulled the offer or what, I think it's a weird situation regardless. Because I think if you have a 6'7" receiver wanting to come your way, you should make it happen with scholarship stuff, any of that. You should figure it out. But I guess the scholarship issues are going to be a problem. Jackson said it the other night that we only have 3 to 4 left, according to projections.
Hey, and you're right, Hunter. He's 6'7". From everything you hear about this Broden guy, he's pretty much the real deal. For OU to pass or for him to decommit today, I think is a big thing. I think Bradley's a lock, guys. I'm gonna say Bradley's locked at OU because if he does enter the portal, as you were saying, Jackson, he's not going anywhere else. It's Norman or he'll stay there. But if he enters the portal, he's coming to Norman. So with that, I'm gonna say he's a lock. But the other thing is, and I know there's that Kel Gundy about 12 minutes ago, guys, retweeted and talked about Emmett Jones, which I think is a huge thing, okay? Because he didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. For him to kind of give his okay, it was classy on Kel's part, but it also for anyone who's wanting to come here, I think it speaks volume even more for what Emmett Jones really is.
Yeah, you're right, Jeremy, but he also did a tweet about LaDainian Washington and kind of made it a weird situation about the tweet with when he said the receiver group really wanted you to be their head coach. I thought that was kind of weird. But let me go back to the Broden situation, okay? If he was interested in OU, which we all knew he was, okay? The timing of this, Hunter, is very interesting because they hire Emmett Jones yesterday officially. Officially. Okay. He says he's committing today. To me, the deal was this, and this is me blowing my smoke, but I think personally what happened is Broden was going to commit. Venables asked Emmett Jones, can we get Bradley here? If we can get Bradley, we're going to pass on Broden. I think that's what happened because Broden, he wanted to come to OU from everything we heard. So maybe he doesn't with Bradley here because the competition will be more immense. And maybe that's why he pulled out and said, like, I'm going to hold up to make sure this happens or not because he's still got time. But I think that's very interesting with that timing. And I think of the Jones hire and the Broden not announcing his commitment, that's what tells me, to me, Bradley's a lock.
Yeah, it's very interesting, like you said. And I would right now, me personally, I would expect OU to add at least 2 receivers through the portal before it's all said and done. Now, everyone's kind of on here said that we think there's a pretty high possibility that Bradley is one of them. Another one that has been mentioned is Bryson Green from Oklahoma State. However, Ole Miss thinks they are in a really good spot with him, and that a lot has to do with Spencer Sanders as well. So definitely something to watch there. But, with what you were saying, I would expect Bradley to probably be a Sooner.
Yeah, speaking of Green, like you just said, from Oklahoma State, sounds like Ole Miss put together a nice NIL deal for him. I expect him to go to Ole Miss. That's been a common theme in the portal. We saw it with Walter Rouse today. He told OU he was going to commit, apparently, and then Nebraska came in with a nice NIL deal, too. And that's just kind of like the thing is whenever you're OU, whenever you have these 3 to 4 scholarships left, you kind of have to pick and choose these NIL battles you're going to want to fight. And clearly, Rouse and Green, those 2 guys aren't up there compared to a guy like Bradley, because I guarantee you if it got into a war for Bradley, OU would come out on top.
Yeah, and right now I think OU adds probably another O-lineman. There's a guy from Washington who will be in town this week, and then probably 2 receivers. But I have a question to just ask everyone. It's related to Bradley. We know last year when Venables came over from Clemson, he was really not for taking players from that team. So I'm not saying this is what I think. I'm just saying in a hypothetical situation, do you think Venables would say, no, I don't really want to take Bradley from Tech because now his coach is here? You don't think there's any of that being there tier 2?
I honestly do not. This is a different situation. We were talking about Clemson last year, guys, a place he was loved and spent a whole lot of his life in. This is a totally different scenario. I do know Brent Venables is a man of his word, okay, but this is a different situation because of Emmett Jones, and Brent Venables is not going to tell a kid, don't follow your coach. That would be against what Brent Venables believes in. Guys, this guy's 6'5", 215, though. This guy's a game changer. This is a huge get. I'm locking it in. It's a massive get.
Well, it's just I said on, I think it was maybe the last Smoke Room that we did, or podcast, whenever I got to see OU play Tech. I got to see Bradley perform firsthand, and I can tell you, if that kid comes in, I would not be surprised if he's wide receiver 1 on opening day.
He could definitely make a case for that. And one of the things, like, he's 6'5", he's got good speed. He was a freshman last year, okay? But he was a freshman that produced.
Hey, Hunter, Jackson, and Brody, you follow recruiting a lot more than me and Jeremy. So this question's for y'all. Did OU offer him out of high school? First is my first question.
No.
Okay, they didn't. And what was his rating? What kind of star was he?
I
have his thing pulled up right now. Let me.
OU did not offer him. Is that what
yeah? He was a 3-star. OU did not offer. His Big 12 offers consisted of obviously Tech, Baylor. I guess if you want to include Houston, I guess you could. Iowa State, Kansas. And that's it for the Big 12. He also had offers from Nebraska, South Carolina, SMU, Tulsa, and Colorado as well.
Yeah.
So quite a few Power 5 offers, not not necessarily an Oklahoma offer, but
Where?
I mean Nebraska offer is still pretty good, I think.
What high school is he from? Do you know?
DeSoto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
DeSoto. They've produced a lot of wide receiver talent over the years.
Regardless of maybe what his star ranking was, he is going to compete for a job as soon as he gets in Norman when he gets here, which we expect to be soon, and hear that announcement soon. And guys, I know this is the smoke room, but and maybe it's just small smoke, and maybe it hasn't really kindled into a fire yet, but there has been a few things on some Xavier Worthy talk. Does anyone want to talk about that at all?
Jeremy, you said it. You said what it was. Talk. That's all it is. Talk.
He's not coming to OU.
Okay,
Do
hey,
not get
Jackson,
that
I'm not
right.
saying he's coming to OU, but I don't see him at Texas.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know how anything starts in recruiting. It starts with the Twitter follow, and him and Emmett Jones exchanged them. So you can say, I mean, we don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it is interesting. On Friday, they exchanged follows pretty quickly from what we saw with that, and now it's starting to pick up smoke.
Yeah.
I know before, according to Texas fans, all that, Worthy was offered a big NIL package last year to enter the portal to go to USC. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not saying necessarily OU, but I think there is a really good chance that Worthy's not at Texas.
Hey, and Hunter.
Yeah, but
Hunter.
USC.
What I'm saying about that is here, and Jackson, Jackson, follow me up with this, but yeah, you're right. He's either, I don't see him at Texas. The only way he stays at Texas is he may be using this as leverage for a bigger NIL deal at Texas. That would be the only reason he stays there.
That's a great
it's
point.
just like I said on our text thread earlier. I think if he goes anywhere, he goes to USC. I don't see him coming to OU, especially if OU takes Bradley. They would obviously take Worthy, but that means you're down to 2 one-scholarship players left, and you have guys like Freeman, Harrington, Chapman McCown's probably going to get put on scholarship by the time he leaves Oklahoma. So, I mean, there's like guys that they're going to want to put on scholarship, and you got to.
Hey, Chapman McCown's a freshman. He's not getting put on scholarship already.
Jackson, you have brought up a lot to do with the scholarships and all that, but there is some more guys that could essentially get processed to open up more scholarships if you need it to happen. So again, I don't know that that's going to be the case, but they could process some more guys if they really needed to.
One thing that's weird with scholarships, though, is that now it's not as big of a deal because you look at it on every OU athlete receives $50,000 base as an NIL deal. So, I mean, that's more than the price of
admission. And that's why you got more guys that preferred walk-on.
An in-state guy.
Also, you have to think about why the roster's so full right now is because this was the last year where you can take more than 25 guys in your recruiting class, too.
It's also the last COVID year.
Yeah.
Jeremy, back to what you were saying about Worthy. This smoke room we're doing is about what we hear, guys. It's about stuff we see. And so, we did see, everybody saw the Xavier Worthy, I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter, the shock the world last week, right? The cryptic tweet. We see the follows. But like you said, Xavier Worthy, guys, has had cryptic tweets many times. Okay, this isn't the first time. And him using it for extra money in the NIL could totally be the play here. But also, the play could be he transfers out. We don't know. Nobody knows. And there's smoke out there. Yeah, doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it is legit stuff out there.
It's worthy of noting, like pun intended.
Worthy of noting. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So is there anyone else you guys think on the defensive side that there's been some talk of some D linemen, but you think OU set there and they're going to – is there anyone else, any other smoke you're hearing about any other transfer?
You don't really know who could enter the transfer portal, but like right now, as of the people that are in the portal, I think OU's probably done defensively.
And Brody, you think Bryson Green is an Ole Miss guy?
Yes, I do.
I've seen things going both ways. But right now with Spencer Sanders probably going to Ole Miss, I think
Well,
Bryson Green would go to Ole Miss.
also-
But I do know that OU is making a late push for Bryson Green. They have prioritized him.
Yeah, I also know it may have been Barstool Oklahoma State on Twitter. I don't know, but some Oklahoma State Twitter page tweeted out another Oklahoma State player is expected to be seen in an Oklahoma uniform next year.
Green.
Yeah, Green would be the only guy. Now, did they have a receiver named Steven Johnson that entered the portal too?
Yeah.
He did
They've
for the
got
portal,
everybody.
did he?
All the receivers.
John Paul
He-
Richardson
he
also.
was- He committed to TCU today.
Oh, he did.
It sounds like TCU may be going after Walker Howard as well. From LSU.
I could see that.
5-star.
But I could also see them rolling with Chandler Morris.
Hey, so let's-
that's true.
I know it won't happen, but I would really love a scenario of Duggan returning, Morris returning to OU.
He won't come back.
That would never happen.
That won't.
He may go out to
That won't
USC
happen.
though.
Hey, one thing I want to talk about before we wrap this up tonight is I want to talk about the LaDainian Washington situation. Okay, we talked about it last week where we said he was probably going to go to Western Kentucky. Then you get the statement from Brent about we really want to keep him. We really are trying to keep him. And then the next day he announces he's going to Western Kentucky like we already thought. And then you see the Marvin Mims going to the NFL. Okay. Does any of that play hand in hand? If Washington comes back, does Mims stay? I'm just throwing that out there. Or do you think he was gone no matter what?
I think he was
No, I think
leaving
Mims-
regardless of coach.
Yeah. I don't really think Washington. Obviously, I think it did play a factor, knowing Oklahoma's probably going to get a new wide receiver coach. But it sounded like Marvin Mims just wanted to go to the NFL. He was ready to get that bad.
I mean, you would think Marvin Mims would have had a pretty good relationship with Emmett Jones because he's a Dallas guy as well.
Yeah.
So surely there was some sort of relationship between the
Someone
two.
got in Mims' ear is what this was, because every report we saw, he wasn't going to be a first or second round guy. I think someone got in his ear, young guy, and he saw that maybe this would be his option. But plus, guys, the wide receiver room as it's looking now is not going to be a problem in Norman.
I agree.
Well, because now you kind of have Andrew and Anthony to take the role of what.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him, guys.
Yeah, he's more of a deep threat guy that you're gonna use for speed to send down the field.
Yeah,
That's
they'll
what I
probably
think.
put him in that slot role behind Stu.
It sounds like Levy really loves Anthony from what I've read.
And I've seen a lot of Michigan fans who are kind of bummed he's leaving, and I'm pretty sure we've all seen the Michigan State highlights. I don't know why he wasn't playing at Michigan, but
I heard it was injury.
Yeah.
He had some injury problems this
But-
year. So
I mean, along with him, there's a lot of guys in our room that certainly have a lot of potential. So now it's just like Anthony, he has a lot of potential. It's just getting the right ones to step up and produce. And I think this wide receiver room has very good depth now, especially if you add a Bradley who can come in and step right in and be the wide receiver two,
Yeah.
maybe be the wide receiver one. So
Which that kind of leads us to the thing we started talking about at the beginning with Bradley, with Broden. Broden would have committed today, guys, if Bradley was.
So let's get a shakedown. Let's get a shakedown from everyone on if they think if Bradley's going to commit and soon. I'm going to say he's a lock, guys. Traber.
I agree. He's going to be at the University of Oklahoma.
I think he comes to OU, but also depending on does he like the Texas Tech wide receiver coach? We'll never know. But
he tweeted, he Instagrammed it today,
but he's known this was going to be the wide receiver coach for a long time.
In the end, I expect him to be a Sooner.
Hunter.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if he's not a Sooner. You saw all the stuff about him saying before out of high school how bad he wanted to play for Emmett Jones, going to Tech for that reason, and I think he'll follow him to Oklahoma.
Brody?
Right now, I'd go 78% chance he's in Norman next year.
I'm going to say I agree with Jeremy. I'm going to say Locke. I said Locke before they hired Jones. If he comes, he's coming with him. So I'm going to stick to my guns. Let's hope that this isn't like the TCU prediction, guys, because I think somebody commented on our last pod about our predictions. But yeah, I think Brody, you're the only one that picked Georgia, I believe. So let's hope that
Traver did.
I picked.
Traver did.
I
Traver and
picked
Brody.
TCU. I was.
Oh no, you said Georgia. 34. I said 34-31
I
TCU.
did.
Yeah.
I was still
So-
drinking the TCU.
So let's hope
Kool-Aid,
we're
though.
right on this one. But yeah, guys, just really appreciate the listeners again. We're going to have our next pod up. We'll have an interview with Heath Ozida. That'll be up on our next pod. A really good interview with him. So thanks again for joining us tonight in the smoke room. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Boomer.
Sooner.
Peace.